Good evening all, GHGKQ. After me, then we'll go round to Brian, GW4KAZ. There we go. I'll put the rest of the list up on the chat. Announcements for this week: Cat 21, 16th of October, all-day Zoom affair, so please block that date out in your diaries. We're planning on a 77 activity day on Sunday the 7th of November, so that's another date for your diary. And of course, don't forget the RSGB convention is this Saturday. CQTV is being worked on, but we've got a slight delay because the editor has had a family bereavement, but it will come out, so we do have the articles for it. Thank you. From Saturday onwards through to about next Thursday, 10:45 in the morning every day, the sun will be directly behind SHL2. So there will be some outages probably in the morning, and that is also the time to check whether your dish is obstructed at all. Probably about 10:45 on Monday morning is the best time to check, but I doubt we'll get sun. Okay, I'll pass it on quickly. If I can ask you all to keep your overs to 5 minutes, no longer. And I'd just like to finish this bit by thanking Mike for running last week and for Noel for streaming it while I was away. So straight round to Paul, G6MNJ, and the group G8GKQ.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you earlier on for the assistance with video B rates. That was very, very helpful. For those of you who saw in the chat earlier, I've recently bought myself a hardware H.264/265 encoder, which I'm currently using with a Raspberry Pi 4, and it seems to be working quite well. Actually, having taken the load off the PC for FFmpeg, the PC is behaving itself considerably better. Which leads me on to my next question. I'm reading everywhere that you can add a USB Ethernet port to a Pluto, which is what I'm using. And as I understand it, you can send the stream directly to the Pluto, and there's extra software or something. And this is where I get a bit confused, where there's a web interface where you can talk to the Pluto to set those things that you can't set with the hardware streaming device. So anybody who's got any experience with that could let me know what I need to do. I would appreciate it. I'd like to say hi to G7NTG and thank him for all his support with the amplifier and antenna for the dish, which is all working brilliantly well. I'm really happy with that. And I'll finish off with a quick couple of minutes, I think it is, show of what I've been doing here in terms of the station. So what we have here, this is the transmit dish up on the balcony at the back of the house, and in the white box there is the amplifier power supply and thick heliax round to the dish. That's the receive dish in the garden. That's a 1.2 metre. The transmit was a 1.6 metre, and that's obviously just thin coax back up. The standard aerials, and this is taken standing in front of the big transmit dish, obviously not when transmitting. That's just a normal domestic dish with my collinear for local chat on top, and a bit of a close-up of the RF side of things, all nicely watertight. I just thought you might be interested in that. On top of a hill, just to the right of that is the sea. That's the receiving PC and the main sort of radios, as it were. On the left hand side is the computer, various vision equipment. On the right hand side is a lot of RF stuff, the 77 and DATV, and then the various cameras, vision mixers, audio amplifiers, etc. The workbench where the magic happens. Right, I think that's the last slide, and if it is, camera, well, there's a camera. Just recently fixed that one. Very nice pro camera with an incredible lens on it. Yep, that's the last slide. So let's go back to giving me a few pointers on how I can bypass the Raspberry Pi 4 so I can use H.265, unless of course there are plans to do 265 on the Raspberry Pi 4, and perhaps you'll enlighten me. Right, that's it from me. I've certainly used my time up, and talk to you next time round.
Yeah, okay, well, this is the result. Not sure what's happening, but certainly not what should be seen. My apologies, gents. And nice transmission from you, Paul. Absolutely okay, great stuff. This thing's been working pretty well all day, but tonight, for some reason or other, you see the pink test card, and this isn't any good, boys. So I'm not going to hold it. I haven't got my mini tuner working, so I can't monitor otherwise. Anyway, apologies, things are not working, and we'll go. I'll just be monitoring. Thanks for letting me in, Dave.
EH on the BATC Net. Good evening, everybody. We finally got it all working. I know Jim's monitoring. I think he's coming on later. But I got you made up for my mates, working perfect. What working conditions at the net here? I've got ports down 4 into a mini, and then into AMSAT preamp, and going banging out to having a cable going out, obviously cable going out to the shack, to a fifth linear 50-watt amplifier. What Jim made, which is quite good, tons better than I could ever do. That's why it's working now. So I one little question. I've got a coax. I can't remember the coax now, but from Webro, normal satellite cable, I think. But I tried a bigger one, or two. I can't remember. I'll have to get my facts written down. I can't. It's not going to be trying to remember what I'm trying to say, because I'll get it all in the tethers. But yeah, and I'm not going to do shaky cam. I'm not going to show you around this second till I'm using OBS, and I can swap and change cameras. But I'll spin off me for the first round, because if not I'll start drying up and croaking. So I'll hand the camera and the microphone over to, I think it's Gareth, Golf 8 X-Ray Tango Whiskey, Gareth, and the BATC Net. Going back to standby. Gareth, you take it, mate. Golf 8 X-Ray.
This is X-Ray Tango Whiskey. Good evening, everybody. Bit of finger trouble there getting started. I was watching the spectrum drop, and I keyed up, and with the TX on and already on, and Pluto gone through its sequence, and took a while. So there we are. Not much to report this week. I'm still running QRP and about 10 or 12 watts into the dish, into 1.6 dish, but I've got this on the go, and apart from the fact that I broke the center connections off the track when I was slightly flexing these, so I've got to fix that. Off we go. So that's more of the not much more really. I have been playing with a log periodic error. I was going to show you that, but it's disappeared from some to be rather quick and perhaps be a bit more organised next time round. So it's
Well, good evening, everybody, and nice to be with you all again this evening. Just got the sound down, and particularly impressed with your station down there, even further west than me, Paul. All look very nice, particularly the box on the outside, as someone else has commented. May remember last week, if you were on the net, that I was talking, or I was trying to progress my attempt to go terrestrial on 23 SEMS, having built the filter, passband filter, and embarked on the amplifier to try and get the output from the ports down up to some sort of sensible level. And I showed you the block of aluminium that I've been machining for the amplifier. Well, this is what it looks like now. This is the finished object, all in its box, and tested this afternoon. And despite my prognostications rather gloomily last week, having put it all in the box, it still works, which is rather gratifying. I've got some close-ups I could just show you a moment. So if we just hang on a second. All right, well that's the block of aluminium machined out for the 3 stages of amplification. The second 2 stages being the G4 BAO driver and 45 watt amplifier, but preceded by an AliExpress board. And there they are inside the box, and screwed down with all the necessary paste underneath for heat transfer. I wasn't quite sure how warm it was going to get. I've now got a better idea. That's the AliExpress amplifier. Thanks so much to Mike for recommending it. Worked first time. No, didn't have to replace any bits on that. That's the G4 BAO driver. Feeds into the G4 BAO really rather well-known PA. I haven't done any. I haven't had time to sort of fiddle about yet to see if I can improve the tuning and the output. I suspect I might, because when I put the lid on it, I noticed there was a slight drop in power output. Looking at the power meter, so that's to be expected putting a lid on it. That's refining things that has yet to happen. So that's the finished job. Give you some idea of the size of it, and there it is with the filter, passband filter that I built 3 or 4 weeks ago, which you've seen before. So there we are. I think so. Now the next thing will be to sort out the aerial switching, transmit receive switching, and hopefully then I can try some terrestrial to G4UBZ, who, as far as I know, is the only other DATV station that's even likely to be within range. We shall see. I'll let you know. Let's go back to the camera a moment. There we go. So that's where we are. So I'm quite pleased to have got that going. Right, that's enough from me. It goes now, I think, to Bernie, G4HJW. So Bernie, you to take it. This is G3 India Uniform Zulu in Somerset. Pass.
Yes, thank you, Roger. G4HJW in Cambridge, or 5 miles to the east of Cambridge. Let me just put the camera on. I know it's been a while since I've been on. Apologies about that. But I really haven't had a lot to include, really. I'll just turn that audio off. I just have to remember. Yes, so it's sort of rather unfortunate that you put me on after Roger, because all that lovely metalwork you do, and I'm messing around with something like that, which is an ice cream cone former out of stainless steel. I don't know if anybody knows what I've got that for, and it's not for making ice cream cornets either, but I'll just put there might be one or two of you that have guessed. Let me just take out my test card and I'll put another picture on. I'm also on vMix, so I have to I'm limited to the 4 streams that I can put up, and I'm not good at doing 2 things at once, but oh no, there we are, I'll put that up. Right, so that's what this cone was for. It's a Heath Robinson version of the 122 gig work, so I don't know if Noel is watching, but we've not got very far with it yet. There's a group of us here in Cambridge. Jenny Gizovic was the one that got us all together and said, right, let's have some of these boards from Australia. So that includes Dave, who is watching us. Yes, up there in Tips End, G6, GZH, G8 MLA, who I've been doing tests with, and Jenny, but Jenny hasn't, is not at the point of doing testing yet. So I've aluminium foil across it, and it seems to be working okay, and I've had to shorten down the cone a bit to illuminate the dish reasonably well, which I think it's doing, but we haven't done any tests at any distance yet, so we'll see how much I'm losing. I tried focusing with that dish on my hand. I did manage to burn my hand, so it's doing something, but it's not the it's not as tight a circle as it might be. So there we are. The only other thing, oh yes, I need to thank Jenny for the call time badge on the top left of the screen, which is 3D printed. It's not an electronic insert. And I was very pleased with that. So Jenny does quite a bit of 3D printing. I'm quite impressed. I've been doing a few other things, but it's probably time I passed it on, so it's going to go over to you, Colin, G4KLB. I do know what your call sign is, but it's amazing how difficult it is to do 2 or 3 things at once when you're on here, I find. So over to you, Colin, G4HJW near Cambridge.
Yes, I have enough trouble myself trying to do more than one thing at a time. But anyway, there we are. Well, my task is to complete this in 5 minutes, which is ambitious to say the least. But I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. So what have I been doing? Let's get straight into it, shall we? What have I been doing? I've been building 1 or 2 things. I've built this 8-band RF switch, but I have a question actually. Yeah, I know. No pressure. I have a question. This one contains the additional components in there to stop you potentially damaging the chip with using a lime, which can can exceed the output that the chip can take. But my question is, this part, if I get it to focus, this part over here, which was existing, is now I'm uncertain of the components across, because Dave has very kindly posted a picture, which I'll have to go over here. Oh, here I can do it on. I can do it on this actually, if I can stop shaking. There we are. This circuit here, showing the input attenuator 100 ohm and 68, and a 2P2 over the top. Well, previously we had the same value resistor in series with C16 over the top, but perhaps that's no longer needed. So I'm trying to compile the parts list for this,
Fortunately, this board can do either. You can just put a 0 ohm in R5 and it'll be exactly the same. So a little advice from Dave on that one is what I've been asking for, or am asking for. The other thing I've done is, I won't dwell on this one, but I've put together one of these kits. For this is the 27 megahertz amplifier, which I propose to use on 29 megahertz for a little bit of TV, hopefully. That's a sort of a long-term project, but as all the bits finally turned up, I was on wait list from Farnell for a number of those coils there, but they turned up, so I thought, let's get them all the bits on. So I've got all that done. Right, okay then. I've got the legend for the shaky cam up, but there we are. Right, that'll do me then. That's how am I doing for time? I don't know. Okay then. So let me see now. Oh, it's over to Mike, M0 MJW to take it. G4KLB. That's a record, that.
Okay, that looks like it's working, and I've got audio. Thank you, Colin. Yes, looks like I need that 10 meter amplifier. Neater than mine, but hopefully it'll work. Mine worked okay with the modification I told you about, so we'll see how you get on with that, and if you manage to get it to produce some watts. Right, a few things to go through. Firstly, Roger, that hardware, that looks professional to me. It's very, very nice, so well done with that. It's very, very good, and hopefully it'll work. It looked to me though like there was a huge amount of gain there, so I guess it probably doesn't need very much in the way of drive signal, so congratulations on making sure it didn't oscillate. That's very good. If it does oscillate, you might be able to attenuate it a little bit here and there, or remove one of the stages if it becomes a problem, but hopefully not, so very good. Right, I've rearranged the shack. You can probably tell from the background if you've seen it before. I've done a few things that are a bit different. Going on to the Easy Cam, which I need to put a trademark on before someone else does, like Colin with the shaky cam. This is the Sony PTZ camera, so it's not the best in the world, but it does a job. I'll just make it go round a bit so you can see. I'll make it go around a bit faster. See me? And the various things that I've done to tidy up the shack. There we go. Past the Polycom cameras onto the amplifier bench and everything else. So that's what we've been doing there. And then go back using the memories. Zoom in. So I put something on Twitter that people didn't understand, I think. This is the bit of wood that I got last week. It's an old worktop that I've used to make a little bench to put all things on top of, to make it a little bit more sensible. And on that bench is a Polycom system, and you can see that there. And if I go to the other camera, the real bench cam, you can probably see the screen a bit better. And I've managed to get some level of control. I haven't got a remote control. If anyone's got a Polycom remote control, or the cable that goes between the amplifier, there's only 3 bird 43s, Dave, plus the other one that does the homemade one, the other sensor. So this is the now that we just get putty up, I can do things like change the colour. So if I do colour bar on, misspelt of course because it's American, it should do that. And if I send colour bar off, it should turn it off, which it does. Now the idea of having this is not to use the base unit, but to actually snoop the controls for the camera, because the protocol for controlling the cameras is secret, and that means I can't do it. The other downer is that the output is not compatible with an EasyCap. It's not PAL, it's DVI analog, and I think you can probably set the camera to do various different things via the control interface, but it doesn't really do what I want. Now the other thing that's turned up, which might be of interest to Dave, or probably not, is one of these. So, having seen what was on the web, this is the DF Robot touchscreen. It's still in its plastic bag, but the 5-inch one. So I will do some experiments to see if it is indeed compatible with the ports down or not when I get around to it. What else? I was going to show actually this, but I'm not sure there's time. But I'll be very quick. So if you look at this web page here, this is my Pluto controller, and this is version 3 of Everest software, but it does give you all the things you need to do to control it in the firmware itself. And here is one of these H.264.265 boxes. It will control that, and it explains how to set it up to do that. So all you need to do is get that software. And as you can see, I'm controlling it from the web. So if I go to the controller, this is where I set my frequency, my transmit, and everything else. So with that, I will use it to turn off, and I think I've got to pass it on to James. So I'll talk to you, Paul, about how to set that up at some other time, perhaps. But you do need the software, and you do need it to be on the Ethernet port ideally, and I think it'll still be compatible with the ports down 4, but Dave will be able to confirm that not to be the case. G0MJW, passing it around to G0DQH.
Okay, just check for audio. Audio, please. Okay. Yes, good evening, everyone. I'll just swap over. Tonight, it's a request. I'll just turn my volume down. I'm picking myself up on the audio. Right. Request tonight because, as you probably know, I'm recapping a 290, and let's just switch over to the other camera, just there. That's strange because the picture was a lot better than that earlier. Anyway, you can actually put little red dots on the caps that I've replaced. But as you can see, there's a grey wire, this one, this grey wire here, which has actually come off of somewhere. Now I think it's probably come off of there. If I can just bring the pen in, there's 4 pillars sticking up out of the board between that RF component there, coil, and the big electrolytic to the right. And I think it's come off of there, but I'm not sure. Now I wonder if anybody who's got a 290 and it's the same revision as this one, which I have no idea what it is, might be able to tell me. It's this grey wire that's got this yellow insulated bit on the end. It is a screen cable, and it actually comes from the microphone socket. So for the moment, I'm a bit stumped to know where to put it, but I did sort out the other fault, which was the full scale on the meter, and that was that transistor in there, and I had to buy that in. It cost a fiver, a genuine one too. So that's basically it. The set is actually working, and I've got terrible distortion on the audio. That's the other thing I've got to sort out. I've replaced the audio IC. It's a brand new one, and in under there, and that's about the only fault I've got left to sort out, I think, on this one. I've still got a couple of caps to replace, and I'll probably do that at work next week because we have the equipment for that. And I usually stay an hour or so after midday. I only work part-time anyway, and maybe get that sorted. That's basically it from me. Go back to the other camera. And I won't be around for the next round, if you don't mind. I'll put my email address on the web in case anybody is able to assist with that wire. Be interesting to see if I was right where it hooks on to. Okay, pull up the sign, and hopefully see you all around this time next week. This is G0DQH between.
Evening all, thank you James. G0DQH, this is G4XAT to the BATC Thursday Evening Net. Right, let's have some video, that would be preferable. Okay, various things, I'll try and be brief. I picked this up the other day, and somebody's doing a bit of a clear out, and they said, would you like this? It's a shame it's not 360, it's like 320. But it's a beautiful piece of work, made by Colburn no less, back in the day. Anyway, nice bit of aluminium. I'm sure I'll find something to do with that. Right. I've got various power supplies that I've been commissioning. So I bought some of these little current modules and voltmeters. The problem is they didn't bother putting a shunt on them. That's probably why they were cheap. It was like 10 for a tenner, so I suppose I got what I paid for there. But I've used a bit of copper wire and then just adjusted it until it read the same as my bench power supply. It's a shame. I mean, I tried a 0.1 ohm surface mount power resistor, and that read about 10 times too much. So the chances of it being very accurate is slim, I suspect, but hey ho. Okay, question for the assembled masses of people who know about these things. I found some builder biquad software on the web, and as you go down in frequency the wire size increases. I want to build another one for 23 sems basically, and the wire size comes up as 2.4 millimeters diameter, which equates very closely to 4 millimeters cross-sectional area single core, of which I don't have any. I do have some 2 millimeter diameter, so I suspect that will reduce the bandwidth from what I've read. If anyone's got any guidance on that, I'd be grateful, either via the chat or whatever. What else we got? Thanks for the contest results published today, James. I'm pleased to see that the stress paid off as far as I'm concerned. and that I've cleaned up on 4 meters by virtue of being the only entrant. My compatriot from last year, Martin, who I had the QSO with this year, didn't enter clearly. So I'm the lone one there, which is a bit of a shame. I've been having a bit of a battle with my band viewer, as Dave knows. He's tried all known solutions his end, and I've followed them, and I'm no closer to a resolution. It's working at the moment. Sometimes it runs, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not sure what that might be. However, I remembered that I had this software. This is called SDR Touch, running on an old phone, and it's using an RTL dongle and an on-the-go lead. It's running off the phone battery at the moment. It's only within the limitations of the RTL dongle, so it's about 26 meg up to 1.7 or something, and that's about it. I'll happily talk more next over, but at this point I'll shut it up and pass it round to Michelle, HB9DUG, to pick it up from G4XAT in the BATC Net. Over.
Better with the sound. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good evening everybody. Sorry for the voice. Unfortunately, I had an attack from Eve fever just now, and so my eyes are not in good shape as my voice. Anyway, so tonight it's the first for me, as that I am operating Q100 with Linux GNU Radio TX, and the GNU Radio TX is fed with OBS through a TCP link. So you see on the screen well, it's a very basic GUI interface where we see maybe I've just put the 3 channels. I can switch on, switch off, so the basic things. And I'm running everything from my old PC, laptop, which is here. So it's quite a nice laptop. Unfortunately, the NVIDIA card doesn't support hardware encoding. So right now it's running H.265 software. And this feed, the GNU Radio TX feeds my Etus box, which is here. And then it goes to my dish on the garden, about 80 meters from here, on the 400 megahertz, and there I have a up converter. So that's a little bit the things I did lately. And the other things, a bit low. I need to find also automatic camera to adjust. So the other things, as you may know, in Switzerland we are very careful about recycling things. So in my village we have a recycling center, and I've been shopping
very nice boxes for future products. That is recycling. That was disk servers for Apple computers. At the time, I think should have cost a lot of money. So I've just emptied the box, but so that's a nice box. I found 2 of them. I also find another one smaller, which is going to be a nice box to put my mini tuner in it. And also find a very nice HDMI screen, which also will fit nicely with the Ryde receiver. Okay, that's all for me tonight. I will not come back for a second turn because really I don't feel too good. So, thanks a lot for the BATC Net. I wish you all a good evening, and I will pass over to, let me just scroll to, caramba. Lot of people have put messages. So, back to Golf 8, Golf Kilo, Quebec. Back to you. Just need to find out.
Thanks, Michelle. Get well soon. Oh, sorry, I stopped shouting. There's slight distortion there. Rob, perhaps you can indicate on the chat whether you want to come up and transmit after me. Really good overs there. It's a shame about your video, Brian, because it was working perfectly earlier, but good to see some new stations on first time Thursday, which I must admit I forgot to publicise this week. Activity from me. You've seen this box before. This is my 3.4 gigs box, but it now has a front panel you can just about see there with a power output meter on it, a few BNCs for RF input. The single one is for a 790. The in and out will be for a mini tuner and a ports down. And on the back, not much there yet, but 3 power poles, power in, power out to the PA, and power out to the 790. So that's been the activity here. Michelle, those boxes look nice. I wish I had a local source of such nice junk, and well done on the new radio. That looks really good. Paul, on the Pluto, I think you've had lots of good info there, and perhaps prompted us to sort out the wiki. Roger, your metalwork puts us all to shame. Really well done. I really like to see sight of that. And Mike, yeah, that DF robot screen, I'll be interested to know if it works without any issues. It will be useful actually to have a capture of the boot up sequence for that, so I can see what parameters it comes up with. If you just type GUI at the command line at some stage once you connect it up, so just type GUI, it will stop the GUI and restart it and do the check of the display, so that'd be useful to see. Okay, let's put it back round to Paul, and while Paul is transmitting I will amend the order for those who've dropped out this time. G6MNJ and the net G8GKQ.
I feel quite confident with the Pluto. I've resurrected a couple of them now from having been bricked, including my own. So I'm quite happy with dealing with that. I spent a lifetime playing with IT, so it should be fine. I showed you last time what the shack and the antenna situation is. I didn't mention that we're on 23 SEM analog and 23 SEM digital television here. 70 SEMs, oh, that's with 150 watts. 70 SEMs digital television with 300 watts. And obviously Oscar 100. So a fair bit of RF can leave this place. We've been kindly donated for the Mid Cornwall beacon and repeater group a 4-size 19-inch rack, and over the next few weeks we're going to take our local TV repeater off the air and rehouse it from its 2 existing 19-inch racks into one rack, which will mean we won't have all these wires traipsing across the floor of the shack up at the repeater site, and I for one will breathe a sigh of relief. Now what else can I show you? Show you very briefly, very quickly, a bit of the area I live in, which is Nevagissey on the south coast. Have I turned the volume up on my phone? Yes, I have. We've got a fairly active community down here, and Nevagissey is an extremely old fishing village going back to the 1400s. We also get quite a lot of visitors down here during the summer. They complain about our roads being only 1 car's width wide, and they should make it one way, or they shouldn't allow traffic, which of course is met by the expected reaction from the locals of we wouldn't be able to get to our houses if you did that. So yeah, this is sort of a few pictures from around the village I live in, and as you can see, there's a very typical road. Quite challenging. The harbour itself is actually the second busiest all of them are day boats. Fill an articulated lorry's worth of fish on a daily basis. So a sort of a Disney attraction down here, which in fact is primarily a fishing village. And this time of year, when all the tourists go home, we get the place to us available. We don't have to book anymore, and they take the whole. I won't bore you too much with this because there's plenty more to be spoken about on amateur radio. Thanks for having me on tonight. Thanks for answering all questions. And yes, the box I bought is exactly the same box, Mike, that you pointed out. So that's a bonus. So 73 one and all. This will be my last over. Great to talk to you all this evening. G6MNJ. Oh, yes, one thought before I disappear. It's a good idea and a good habit to put up test cards you're going to finish and hand over, because it then allows the time taken to encode the last bit that you thought you said to get transmitted. So many people's overs are getting cut short. So with that, here's my test card and goodbye.
Two E0HH returning back to the BATC Net. Thank you, Paul. My sister used to live in Nevagissey. She just moved out, gone to Exmouth. She's lived on the John Soul I think you live on the opposite side. I think you. I'm not presuming, but I think looking at photos, do you live on the? You don't live on the sunny side. Let's say that. But I'm going to show a quick. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to do a quick scan of my shack and my system. So, like I said. Shaky cam. That's the ports down, and then the plastic box of the Mini and the what's the word I'm looking for? Mine's gone again. Doesn't take long these days. Doesn't take much. The Mini. Lime Mini, that's the word. I just looked on there and it's prompted me what I'm going to say. Then that's a Ryde. Oh, that little red box and silver box there, that's a BIOS. And that's a mini tuner with a ports down for a Pi 4 and a little fan, keep it cool, and that's my Ryde. Seems to be a bit amateurish, but I mean it works, it's functionality. And then obviously I've got the feeder going out to the dish on a 1.6 meter dish. So as I say, I'm getting there slowly. Main thing is I'm there you go. I'm getting out and it's keeping up the keeping the signal quite good as well. The fan works a treat. I mean it's what a shame my little two fins was can I show you? Yeah, can I show you? Yes I will. Feeble attempt of cooling the 220 watt amplifiers I got from Pilot Joseph. That's my attempt of cooling the fans down, and a bit of board using two computer fans. So Jim, don't laugh too much, but that's why it was wasn't it getting cooled down. But obviously I've got a professional amp now done by Jim, and I'm well chuffed for it. Anyway, I think that's enough from me because I'm going to start croaking otherwise. Good night tonight. I'm going to stay till the end. Phil, I do believe you're next, mate. Golf 8 X-Ray Tango Whiskey 2A0 going back to standby on the BATC Net. Gareth, oh sorry Phil, you can take it after me. 2A0 going back to monitoring.
Right, I think I've got audio. Let's just check. I have. Excellent. Might be a little bit low, but apologies for that. Where are we at? Yeah, evening everyone. Finally got organised to put a signal in. Yeah, quarters out again. I kind of keep forgetting at the moment to get everything organised on an afternoon beforehand and things like that. But anyway, that's all good. Usual interesting stuff on there. And, nice to see a tour of another shack. I'm not going to give you a tour of it here because it's absolute tip. But anyway, I will show you a tiny little portion of it. But yeah, so This looks very familiar to yours, Bernie. You were showing your dish with the foil coating on there. Well, I've been printing a parabolic offset reflector on a resin printer, which I finally got to come out quite reasonably, with a reasonably good profile now anyway, if I get it to kind of focus on that rather than that. The only thing is there's these steps vertically. I printed it in that orientation instead of printing it like that, which gives a lot better surface finish. But for some reason I've got steps in the print. It's either a slicer problem in the software that you generate the printer, or there's some firmware thing in the printer. It doesn't look like a mechanical one, but, and again it could be, but it seems to shift this direction rather than vertically. And everything X and Y sort of dimensions are all to do with the screen, not to do with anything mechanical, so it kind of looks more like a firmware or software problem. But yeah, I've coated that with foil as well and kind of smoothed it as best as I can, and it's fairly sharp, but I've tried it with light and you get a reasonable point of light on it, but I haven't tried it on RF yet. So that's going to basically be fed by the 122 gig Chapel feed somewhere down here. Something probably like that, to that effect anyway. Feed like that, because it's designed as a 0.6 F over D, that reflector. That's how I designed it. Whether it actually is or not is another matter, but that's what I put into the program and it all looked good. So that was a successful resin print after the multiple failures. So that's that one. I've still been playing around with VLF stuff. I'm still doing local tests and things. Not really anything new to report there. We're just trying to like optimize the system across 17 kilometers. So still doing tests with that. There hasn't been any other DX signals popped up on the band for a little while yet. Yeah, it would be Gareth, just to see how it's working. How's the S? I must have missed that. Right, I've been, so today, after doing some roofing on the stables outside, I've been doing that. That's kind of taken up most of today's playing with radio stuff, but I'll show you some pictures. So this is what I've been playing with. I was given this to repair. It's a Jujitsu or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's like an analyzer that goes up to 4 gigs. But basically it wouldn't calibrate itself. And when I got it, I basically looked into it, and the output on the output port was like 30 or 40 dB down. So I had to take the guts out and make a ribbon cable up to kind of plumb it all together so I could test it in situ. But in the end it was actually a visual thing I could see. So let me see if I can get the slideshow working. Right, is this going to change? Let's see. There you go. That's the inside bit. So it's the VCO at the top left. So you can see that comes along and down, and then there's like a 3-pin SOT89 mimic in there. That was the actual fail point. And it's got 500,000 screws on the bottom to hold the covers on, which was a pain. But anyway, there you go. There's the mimic, the BG13B. That's the failure point, and there's a 200 ohm resistor just to the right, which is the one that died. So took that out. I've put something else in, I can't remember what it is now, to replace it, and it's all back up and running. So I've probably gone over me 5 minutes now. Let's just see if I can refresh this webcam. It's not going to work, is it? Oh well, I'll have to do it the other way. Anyway, so yeah, anyway, it's working there. It's back together. I'll put a filter in line. We're going to weird effect on here, but I think that's something to do with calibrating it properly, but something to look at. But yeah, it's quite a nice unit actually. You can put batteries in it, but anyway, whoever, well, the guy who gets that back will be quite happy anyway. So yeah, that's this here last thing before I go, because I've taken too long anyway. That is the which one is it? That's the Pi Hut 5-inch screen with the Pi 4 mounted on the back of it. I just kind of cobbled it together to test it out for something else, but I thought I'll just put the ports down memory card in. So it all runs via one ribbon cable, which is nice. And yes, once I changed the orientation of the, the virtual orientation of the screen, it didn't change on here, but LCD rotate 0 in config.txt. And basically I can go into the menus, menu 3, menu 1, go into RX if I want to, go into SR. So yeah, the touchscreen works and the display seems to work okay in basic terms. So that one is, where's the sticker on the front? So that was quite cool. I haven't tried it on Langston, it might not work on there, but basic functionality seems to work on Portsdown, so something to look at anyway. But it looks like the same unit as probably what Mike's talking about. Looks very similar anyway, but maybe not quite the same. So there we are. I think that'll do. Probably over me 5 minutes. Right, there we go. M0DT5. Yeah, the S is the right way up now, no? Somebody, what was the cost of the screen? £39 plus something delivery. So it isn't the cheapest one, but it's a 5-inch screen for not much more than what Mike put on his. Yeah, okay guys. Yeah, so maybe something to look at, maybe not, but it's worth just confirming if anyone else has got one, just to check it works. But yeah, Pi Hut is, I'm sure Pi Hut's 39. Yeah, 39. That's with VAT, and then a couple of quid delivery. So, and that's like next day delivery. Mouser isn't next day. I know that. But, yeah, okay. I think that's it for now. What's the list? That goes probably the same price. Yeah, that goes around to G8XTW from M0DTS on the BATC Net.
There we go. Sorry, did I swear on air? That was bad news, if I did. Yeah, apologies. Yeah, no, it was great to see Rob there comment on the complete extreme ends of the spectrum from VLF up to 122 gigs. Absolutely great. I've been still struggling with power supplies. I've now got a 5 amp 25 watt supply on 5 volts, currently set to 3 volts going in on the micro USB socket, and I'm still getting the yellow chevron, the M3 button much higher, but with the camera and the Pluto, the 7-inch screen all powered off the same socket, one wonders how far one can go. If you power it all separately, then you've got different potentials, ground potentials to deal with. I have been playing with one of these log periodics that we did some transmissions to the radio club from Arthur's QTH to our new club meeting venue in Dunstable, and with an amplifier each end of 30 metres of RG59, we managed to get a very solid signal on. So yeah, preamp 30 metres of RG59, and a little preamp the other end gave us a solid signal. So there you go. I must just do a name drop to Phil over in Oxford, G7 Golf Victor in North Oxford. We chatted to him last night on our local chat, and he was interested in the TV, and he's watching tonight. So I thought I'd give him a name drop. There you go. That's enough nonsense from me, and I'm going to pass it on to G3RU.
Right, well, thank you very much, everybody, for all the multifarious contributions tonight, and the very kind remarks about the metalwork. Well, it does help, having spent the first few years of retirement mastering model engineering and lathes and mills, and then converting the mill, as I think I explained a couple of weeks ago, to CNC. So having done all that, it's nice to find a way of using it in a constructive way, and even more gratifying that having made the effort, it actually works. So Mike, thank you for your comments. Yes, I was very gratified that it didn't go into self-oscillation. I had it running this afternoon with 20 watts indicated on the bird watt meter into dummy load. It warms up fairly quickly. I have got a ribbed heat sink to put on the back with a small fan, so I hope that'll keep it under control. The time alone will tell. I can always up the size of the heat sink. So so far so good. It's stable, and I did briefly put the lid on it, as I say, the power dropped, but it didn't go into oscillation. I was a little bit concerned about that, whether we suddenly have resonant cavities or whatever. Just one final thing before I bow out. Although I'm a member, I still can't get into the Bristol group, 7-side group, GB3ZZ. But I think you probably know that has closed down now, because they were given marching orders from where they've been for nearly 40 years, I think. They've taken down the station. It's now closed probably till the end of the year, but they have got permission to re-erect everything on a building only 50 yards away, which is very helpful. It's meant that they haven't had to apply for a new, all the licensing and all that complications if they moved much further away from their original QTH where the license was given. So they're very gratified about that. They've got to do quite a lot of rebuilding, I think, and obviously re-erect masts and dishes and all the rest of it. But with a bit of luck, GB3ZZ should be back by the new year, the Bristol 7-side television group. Anyway, so that's enough from me. Good night to you all. Thank you very much indeed for allowing me to join in the net. Very much appreciated. So now, who does it go to? Oh dear, Bernie. No, it's yes, G4HJW. Bernie, over to you, I think. And I better do what I was told and do that, and watch for the.
For that, I think that's given it enough time to come up. Let's have a look. Yep, although I'm not coming up. My receiver doesn't always. Oh yes, the Mendelssohn Night. Well, I always thought Anglia was the best ITV region. I don't want to start a fight, but I always thought it was, and I always liked what they did. Although, of course, you know, the caption card I came up with at the start was oh, I don't want audio on that. We'll have that audio off. It was the Granada one. And you know, when you're a child, very young child, you hear things incorrectly. And Granada, I always thought was banana. And while we're on that subject, if you remember from about 1960, there was a song called Poetry in Motion. And I first heard it as "Oh, a tree in motion," and could never get that out of my head. And blow me if I didn't find somebody commentating exactly the same mishearing of it on YouTube somewhere. Anyway, enough of that. I must get rid of the cat because I want to show the other thing I've been doing. Is I got a lot of gear from Swindon, thanks to Daz, who dived into many a skip and just bought go on, cat, housloads of stuff. Including power amps, and I don't want the high power, so I've been taking the MMIC, if I can get my finger to it, the power MMICs off, and a 900 meg one, not this one, has worked very well at 1290, 1249. So to Phil, sorry, that's how I've been managing to talk to Arthur and Steve on PV. I've been wanting to get on there for ages because John BAO did a very good job of updating the repeater, and it's really nice to know that that can be got into down in Luton when it couldn't before. Yes, site owners moving. You were saying about this, Roger. We've been very lucky when we put the cam beacons up on 10G and 24G. We're going to go up at Madingley, and that fell through for reasons we needn't go into, and it ended up at Witton on the water tower there. We've been there some 12 years, but the guys sold the site on to AN Other, and Mr. AN Other has been brilliant. He's just allowed us to stay there. I haven't had an electricity bill yet, so whether I'm going to, I don't know. So we've been very lucky on that, and we haven't had a lot of failures either, by good luck. Right, now one thing I want to do is bring this up. This is the last bit of work I've been doing at Ian's G3KKDs, the last bit of the shack and associated bits to take off. And I'm really pleased to say I dug that out all on my own. Although my grandfather, or one of my grandfathers, who was a grave digger, would have been absolutely embarrassed at how long it took me. But anyway, we've got that out. That's going up to Finningley. Cat, go away. The cat will be on the keyboard, so if he gets on there and I go off, don't expect me back. Yes, that's gone up to Finningley with the 60-foot mast. So, but the soil up there, you know, it's the Isle of Axholme, it's Sandtoft. The soil, it's part of the Isle of Axholme, so the soil there is like fen soil here. But where Ian was, that is all clay, and I didn't think 5 foot of post in rammed soil and bricks could hold a 60-foot mast up. But having taken so long to take that out, I now know it can. That was amazingly tough. Anyway, for a 50-year-old post, it's in remarkably good condition. Enough. On to you, Colin. I'm sorry if I've overstayed my time. So G4KLB, G4HJW, and I suppose I can do the same. I can give you that again.
I was hastily hastily trying to find a Southern TV logo to put up, but I didn't quite make it. Anyway, there we are. I think where you're from is usually the best one, isn't it? Really. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, okay, there we are. Let's have that one. I didn't quite make it in time, but nonetheless, probably I shouldn't put it up anyway. I don't know. But there we go. Oh dear, oh dear. We have to have a bit of a laugh, don't we? Really. But oh yes, I haven't I haven't publicised. It has been mentioned, but as I went to the effort of making this little banner, then I just as well push the button, haven't I? For the we've had this sort of this joke on SQ. But yes, I changed it to BAT Blue, BATC Blue. Yeah, after requests, I had it in a different colour, and and it was suggested that it should be in BATC Blue. So I continued it on with that. So there we are. So and I moved it out of the way because I used to put it up on my test card, and it went over the KLB, which was in blue, and it didn't really work. So I had to I had to put it up here. Look. So there we are. There it goes. There we are. Cat 21, Part 2, coming soon. Thank you, Gareth. Yes, that is the big news. That is the big news. Is the van has passed its MOT, and I happily waved the MOT certificate around yesterday. It did fail on unexpected welding. What happened was I took it for new tyres, and the tyre place put a jack through the blinking thing, and didn't tell me. And so when it went there, it actually failed the MOT on welding, and it was fairly extensive reconstruction needed because it was a structural part. So I could have got the MOT just by plating it, but it needed rebuilding properly, so you could actually put a jack under it. So 400 quid later, we got the MOT. But it's been done properly, and so I'm happy about that. Less happy about the price, but it was a decent place I took it, so you had to pay. But chuffed to bits. We got it done. And got the MOT. It was done. Well, it was started the day before, but it was finished yesterday, and I went and took it for a retest on the way home. So it all worked perfectly well. So chuffed to bits with it, really. So we got another year of playing in the van at least. So happy with that. Thanks for asking. That's good. I say I didn't talk about anything else yesterday because I was I've been sort of nervous getting the MOT over the last 6 weeks. I've been building up to it. I did everything I could think of, but I say I took it for new tyres and didn't know. I knew something was going on behind there, but I didn't realise quite what had happened. So they really should have they should have said, you know, what had happened really. But there we are. But rust is a problem. Rob knows that, don't you, Rob? It's eventually gets in there. The rest of it's not actually too bad. It was suggested that in a couple of years the other side might need doing. But you know, generally, considering the age, it's not too bad. So there we are. But yes, it is. I have what is called MOT stomach. And it lasts for about 6 weeks, and is worse on the day. So terrifies me, because you don't know. You take it in there in good faith, thinking everything's okay, if you've actually bothered to check anything, and suddenly you can end up with no vehicle. It's just there's sometimes a few surprises, but there we are. Anyway, that's I'm overjoyed now. I see, chuffed to bits now. So it's all legal and this, that, and the other. So really happy with that the ATV van will live again. I've got to put all the gear back in. I take rather a lot of equipment out when it goes for testing, but it's not a bad thing because at least it gets a proper clean. I give it a bit of a spruce up when it's going in for an MOT. I even washed it. Yeah, oh yes. So it gets a good clean out. Not that I let it get that bad. Actually, it's not actually as bad as the Shag. but there we are. So yeah, that is my big news really. Actually, I didn't mention it before, but there we are. So. If you take it early and fails, does it cancel the current MOT? Well, Peter says no, but only on a major item. Because I thought it did, and but if okay, that's the new rule, is it? This was a major item, so yes, it would have cancelled it in this one. Not even major items. Okay, I must inquire about that because. I'm unclear as to my understanding was that it did cancel it. It did cancel it, but that may not be the case then. Okay, that would be worth knowing actually because I'll take it in earlier next time. You were told it cancelled because it's unsafe for road use. Yeah, my understanding was if it failed the MOT, then that's you haven't got one, which means you're in a bit of a predicament really. You can drive to and from. I know you can do that, but I'll have to find out that. Yeah, that's true, Mike. Actually, of course, but I'm wondering about the legal things because obviously, if a car fails the MOT, I don't think I'm allowed to drive it anymore. But it might matter what it failed on. If it's a dangerous thing, then you shouldn't use it anyway. But some things. This one was meant dangerous, and the reason it was dangerous is it compromised the rear seat belt fixing because the rust was within a prescribed area, and so the rear seat belts are never used. So I could say it's not that dangerous, but but there we are. Right. Oh, you have an MOT station, and it doesn't void the. That's good information. Okay then. Oh, hello, Tony. Good. That is obviously current information then. So thank you for that. That's good information actually, and that will. I haven't taken it till the very last day usually, or the very last few days, depending when it falls. For that reason, and so I would now. I think you can do up to a month before. So yes, he has. Yes, and so I will now take it in. 3 or 4 weeks before. Yeah, that's right. But it depends. In this instance, it wouldn't have really been that dangerous because, but there. So I probably would still have done it. But right, okay then. Right, that's good information. So thank you for that. Well, that was good, wasn't it? That was good. It's amazing what you learn with ATV, isn't it? Right, I better disappear now. So over to Mike. G0MJW to take it. G4KLB.
Right, Telford. Oh, okay, that's handy. Not too far away. You could end up failing your MOT because your aerial is not big enough, perhaps. Maybe that's not a failure, but yeah, interesting. Oh well, we'd have to get in there quick. Yeah, so unfortunately I grew up in the border television region, and bored is what you were if you had border. It was pretty bad. I don't think we were any worse than that, so you were lucky in East Anglia and Yorkshire and Thames. Dear border, yeah. Right, okay, not a lot else to add, so interesting net, been a lot on, so that's good. I will have another go with the Polycom to see if I can get anything working, and see whether these cameras are any use. I took apart the camera and I discovered it's actually got a very nice CCD in it, but it's proprietary interface as far as I can tell. You could stick a Pi camera on the back of it, I suppose, but then you'd have to do all the focusing and everything manually. And they are just stepper motors, but far too much work to be bothered with, I think. So they may not be any use, and if they're not, well, never mind. Okay, who is next? It's Gareth, isn't it? G4 XAT. Over to you, Gareth, and I better put up a proper test card.
No chance. I'd have to find one, and I'd have to remember how to get a good quality image of it and put my call sign on it and things like that. MOTs, yeah, I always take mine early. That way I get a list of things I need to fix before the real thing, so to speak. Nearly managed it this year as well. The only thing that caught me out was the adjustable headlight angle. Technology I don't need. One of them was a bit sticky, but they failed it, gave it a thump and then passed it, so that's okay. I wonder whether anybody has one of these. The reason I ask is I found a tape from my father in 1982, and we wonder what's on it. I bought one off eBay for a few quid, and the tape moves but no sound comes out of it, so it needs further work. It's not a priority. It's waited since 1982. It can wait a bit longer. That's it from me, I think. Won't waffle on. Loads of interesting stuff. Yeah, MOT reminder as well. I've been using the same garage for 25 years, and although I don't have as many vehicles as I did have, and one of them won't go under their forecourt awning or whatever, can't get it in. The camper's about 3 inches too high to get it into their MOT station, so I have to take that one somewhere else. But can't beat your local independent and all that. The wife's just had hers serviced, which is a 2-year-old, and the prices they charge. I mean, this car's done 4,000 miles from new, and they say, oh no, you've got to change the brake fluid. Like, what a load of nonsense. Anyway, on that, I'll stop waffling and I think stick it round to Dave. I think Michelle has gone. Yeah, round to you, Dave. GKQ to take it from G4XAT. Good evening, all.
Good, we're in business. G4XAT, G8GKQ. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming on tonight and making the effort. Good to see a few new and unusual faces, or unusual on the air, shall we say. And lots of interesting stuff there, particularly interested in that 5-inch screen, because sometimes the 7-inch is a is a bit large for what you want. So I might give one of those a try. So with that, I will close the BATC Net for tonight. Look forward to seeing you all next Thursday, and see you then. G8GKQ, closing the BATC Net and leaving the frequency clear. Good night all.